All right. See how the news hits here. Yep, looks like they're both wanting to start to sell. Not in anything yet. Okay, let's see if this thing wants to actually. If you guys are scalping, you could take a. You guys let me know if that music's too loud, okay? But again, scalping these 1K, 2K levels. Great way to just, again, kind of pad your account. They're easy trades. Easy trades. Price is really wanting to rally even on a low delta. So that tells me that there is quite a bit of bid side support. Anytime that your price is carrying up on um, a light delta, that's telling you something right there that it's wanting to reach higher. Does it mean that I need to go long right now? No. I mean, you guys can see we're still kind of in between these 2 points. We did fill the gap just barely, but until it really works itself out of this or it gives us a clear read, on the order book, um, there's really no reason for us to take a trade. Our trades delta did drop below neutral. So if this thing starts to trades delta really starts to do this and our volume delta starts to do this, then it's probably going to continue to go lower. Again, I'm trying not to focus on VWAPs and things like that today, horizontal levels. I just want to present to you guys the order flow stuff that I'm looking at each day and kind of how I trade it. You guys can see that there's a lot of size that's been hitting the tape on the sell side. Market sell orders. But the overall trades is still not really heavy on the sells. Pop there in Delta and trades. Let's see if we can get like a nice break and retest. I'm going to take a glance at this strategic chart. So we're bumping, and guys on YouTube, you can't see that, but we're bumping up against, I'll show you guys here in the Discord. Bumping up against this previous months, previous weeks VWAP. There's a previous day, quarterly. If I had to guess, it's still going to probably sell off from one of these levels, but we don't really know exactly what it's going to do. All we can do is try to get in alignment with the order flow. So let me go back to the tactical chart here. Okay. So there, our delta is retesting the RTH low. Price is quite a bit higher, so that means that there's a bunch of limit order support throughout this leg up. Just watching to see if this holds. The trade starts to make new highs. I'm gonna try a micro long here. I just like how this is kind of basing out and holding. Even though it's negative delta, our trades is holding neutral. See if we can build into something. Wants to go higher. Let's try to. Sometimes this is where having a 5-second chart versus the 30-second is kind of helpful. I don't want to reload and recalculate this chart right now, but our volume deltas basically making a double bottom. Our trades delta made a new high. Looks like it wants to put in a higher low right here. So I'm kind of reading this as, again, there's a lot of heavy selling, but price is doing the opposite, right? Now, if the trades delta breaks this low and our volume delta breaks its low, then we know we're wrong and we need to try to get back in alignment. But for right now, I think we're okay. Again, it's just one micro. I like to try to build into these positions, try to get in alignment with it. Some days, you just don't know. You just don't know what the market's really going to give you each day. So some days you get in alignment with it and it runs. Other days you get in alignment with it and it's just kind of this back and forth, accumulation, which happens frequently when we are down near these monthly VWAPs, previous month's VWAPs, previous quarter VWAPs. If you think about it, that's where the most accumulation is going to take place, is when we are at these deeply discounted areas. So sometimes there's a battle, right? Other times it just turns into a really nice trend day and it all works out, right? This is kind of the opposite of what we had yesterday. Yesterday we sold down into the gap and it filled it, but then it just kept going. Like, I know that there were people that were trying to long the gap yesterday and they just got wiped out. So today we kind of filled the gap and looks like it wants to kind of keep going here. Although these trades, the trade delta is not super aggressive right now. When we get these extensions in price, there's aggressive market orders that carry price up. That's the only way that price can move, is through a market order. So market orders carry price up, and then from that, kind of what's left behind, or what comes in, is limit buy orders come in. And so when we get aggression one way or the other, these limit buy orders come in and fill in the gap. And so price has to kind of sink back into these areas of support and resistance. So when you get a gap, right, I don't want to call this a fair value gap, it's just a liquidity void. It's just where market orders pushed price higher, then that aggression kind of tapers off right here, and it takes time. It takes time for those limit orders to come back in. I mean, when I say it takes time, I mean it's a really matter of seconds or minutes. But the institutional algorithms fill in, right, because they can purchase it for cheaper with the limit order than they can with the market. So they just takes them a little bit of time, and price has to kind of sink back into these limit orders and find support before going higher. So let's see what it does. Again, no predictions. All we're doing is trying to stay in alignment with the order flow. Two areas that I mark each day on my chart are the RTH high, so RTH high and RTH low here on my delta. I'm gonna exit this real quick so I can talk. It's hard for me to focus and draw and explain and chart at the same time. So this is our RTH cumulative trades delta low. This is our CVD low. So these are two very important levels. So the lowest points in which aggressive buyers kicked in right here. You can see that even though price is going higher, these two, there's not a lot of aggression in the order book. Honestly, it's kind of looking like it wants to flop over here. Again, I don't know what level there is here, but if the trades delta starts to make new lows and this starts to make new lows, it's probably time to start to look for shorts. Trades delta is breaking neutral. If there was real commitment to buying, this trades delta would continue to go higher. We want to wait though for some kind of confirmation. I don't really want to play a guessing game with them. So I want to see these actually break and then retest for price to get in alignment with them. There's no rush. We took an initial long and locked in like $75 on that. We had that second long there, made another $75 on that. So again, if you guys are trading small accounts, trying to get some payouts, just take it easy. Wait for the order flow to show you what it really wants to do. So volume delta broke 1K, trades delta testing from underneath, RTH neutral here. Trades delta or volume delta making new lows. I'm watching this trades delta very closely to see if it starts to break new lows. We do have a divergence between trades, like trades and price are in alignment with each other. But our volume delta is diverging. I'm not convinced that a short is the play here just yet until this trades delta, until we get alignment. got a leg down and all three, leg up. So what we're looking to see if we get this kind of thing, right? Then we know that they're in alignment and it's going to go lower. If trades and CVD both break, then we'll take a short here. For the folks on YouTube, can you guys hear the background music? Is it too loud? Do I need to turn it up? Too soft? All right, sounds good. Thank you, Amped. Appreciate it. These these trades might start getting aggressive. They start getting aggressive, then it's going to go higher. And the aggressive sellers are just going to be wrong. That's why I didn't take that short right away, right? Like, yeah, it broke below, but now it's breaking back up. The bottoms of price are in alignment, so it does say something to me that we failed to make a new high right here. Like just from a basic like price trend progression, right? Price can only make highs, a high or a low, or can retest a previous level. And price failed to put in a new high. And we've got this, divergence. Now the trades really starts to break, then I think it would be appropriate to short. You guys can see how the the shift is kind of happening here. We've got to wait though for these trades to confirm it. It's aggressive size hitting the book again. Market orders. Trying to detect that momentum and get in alignment with it. I think I'm gonna try a micro short here. Maybe we can get trades to really break through. Trades is putting in a lower low. Volume deltas lower low. Price lower low. If the trades will get in step here with the volume delta, then I think it'll drop quite a bit. But we'll see. Price is resilient. The order book takes a while for price to capitulate. Hey, what's going on, Mission? How are you today? Nice, man. Welcome. I'm still figuring all this out, you know? So I appreciate you being here. I really do. We are watching the relationship between price, which is in the top frame, and the cumulative volume delta, which is in the bottom frame in the blue, and then the cumulative trades delta, which is in the red. No, I mean, I don't have a playlist for you guys to watch order flow training. And honestly, like anything that I talk about here, you're not going to find it. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on trading training. I've taken Merritt Black's Nadro course. I've done Axia training. I've done price action training. I've taken bookmap courses. Scott Pulcini's bookmap courses. I've done pretty much all of it, brother. And I've come full circle as a trader. Spent a lot of time on price, volume profile, market profile, footprint charts, And what I'm showing you right now is the simplest way that I have found through all those paid courses to analyze order flow in a simplistic way. Because if you're staring at footprint charts, you're not able to capture the bigger picture, right? So I use VWAPs, but really more just for reference points. I like it that the trades delta is starting to break down now, right? So now we have our trades delta making new lows, volume delta is making new lows, and we're starting to get a little bit of follow through. What we really want to see is trades delta just start slamming it, and for this low to get broken here, which may or may not happen. Again, I'm not in the business of predicting. I just try to get myself in alignment with order flow and hold on for the reins as long as I can. So, but I'll be happy to answer any questions. At some point, I'll probably put together a course. It's kind of what I'm thinking about right now. I love my folks in Discord, but they know that, I'm just one guy. So I'm a dad and I've got 4 kids, and it's difficult for me to answer dozens of questions every day on X and Discord and YouTube, all that. So I think putting it into a cohesive, course would just be very helpful for people so they can kind of understand where I'm coming from. So we want to see this trades delta continue to make new lows. Now, I will tell you guys that I am concerned about this short trade because of the space between our trades delta and our volume delta. This is kind of an unusual occurrence. Usually, if these things break, right? So, oops, not that. Usually, if volume delta takes off this direction, trades delta will take off with it in that direction as well. But that's not really what happened out of the gate, right? Volume delta took off, but you can see that we definitely have some absorption. And we know that it's absorption because our trade started to kind of rally. And that's kind of, I think, what has held this up. So I'm not like super hyped about this short trade because this is just kind of unusual for us to have this much space. So it tells me that somebody's buying it. Let's go back and look at yesterday. Maybe I'll be able to. So do you see this? This is yesterday's open. Remember when we caught the short down? Do you see how both of those are nice and tight and bundled together on the way down? That's alignment, right? That's really what we're looking for. Now, yesterday, we didn't get that follow through. It didn't punch through the 1K and go down to the 2K and 3K. And you see when we start to get this divergence and the trades delta starts to lift, that's those limit orders coming in. Like the trades themselves, they're starting to be more buying trades that are coming in. So here we are today, and we already kind of have a gap like this. So like I said, I'm not like super hyped up about taking this short. It's working for now. But look at how much of a gap we've got right here. It's huge. And guys, just to remind you that this is actually a measurement, right? So if our trades delta is at, let's just call it negative 400, and our volume delta is at negative 2400, that means that there's 2,000 contracts that are out there. Again, a position, they're actual positions. Yeah, there's a huge gap, right? So there's basically 2,000 contracts somewhere that are, gosh, that are holding a long position open. So kind of filling in this liquidity void here. I'm gonna close this, um, but I'm not going to reinitiate a long, not yet. So I'm not saying go long, okay? Please understand that. I'm not telling you go long. I just find it interesting that we've got such a large divergence between the two of these themselves. They're not really in alignment, right? A lot of times too, guys, we'll get, I don't have them marked on this chart. This is just the chart that I put together to stream and kind of articulate my thoughts for you guys. But there are times when these fight negative, negative. So this is negative 2000. It's at negative 2500, and then you have negative 3K. So a lot of times these 500 levels, I call them, we have the K levels in pink, and then again, they're not marked, but the 500 levels will often act as areas where, buyers and sellers will kind of reinitiate their positions. We base the whole thing off of the idea that at 9:30 RTH open, that all of the algorithms basically recalibrate to this point. Um, there's a lot of people that will do an anchored VWAP, right, from the open. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Again, I've been through anchored VWAP. I've gone down all the rabbit holes. And you'll see that if you plotted an anchored VWAP right here, you'd be all over the map, right? So that's why I like to just focus on the order flow. Keep it simple. What is the order book telling me? So we're getting kind of this, anytime that your order flow flattens out and your price does not, that's absorption. The orders themselves are beginning to absorb price's downward momentum. It doesn't mean that it's going to reverse right there. It just means that there is the presence of absorption. You guys can see it, right? Price is doing this, and our trades delta and our volume delta are flattening out. So that's telling you that there's some buy in there. Does it mean that it's going to reverse? No. Does it mean that this is time to long? No. I would say that your best long trades are going to come when your order book is positive, so above RTH delta neutral. Right now our order book is still negative, but we have this big gap. So there's quite a bit of limit order buying, I think. So if the trades delta starts to break higher, pop through RTH neutral, then you could look to get long again. It's making new lows. It's okay. Doesn't mean that we need to short. We're just observing this absorption that took place here. Let's watch and see what happens. Sort of the volume delta is popping through the 3K. A lot of times I will just take a scalp off of these K levels, really when there's alignment. Let's see if we can watch this and detect when the right time to get long is. I see people popping in and out of YouTube. Again, if you guys have questions, let me know and I will be happy to answer them while I'm on here. I'll probably stay on for another 30 minutes or so. And if you guys can like and subscribe, that would be great. Of course, that helps. For those of you guys that are new, I've pulled a lot of stats through Sierra Chart and the Denali data feed on CVD volume delta lows, highs and lows for the day. And this 4K level is kind of a key level. 70% of your days are going to fall somewhere in this plus or minus 4,000 range. When you start to get further away from that, extended like 5K, 6K, 7K, those are kind of outlier days. So what's neat is that when you get that far out of the distribution, you get some really nice snappy plays back, kind of, counter trend, mean reversion trades. And so we're at, we're at negative 3K. A lot of times I'll, like I said, just kind of scalp around these K levels here. Meaning that I would put on like a micro and see what happens. I like to try to add into winners, not DCA, but I will DCA from time to time if I have to. So again, this order flow is kind of flattening out. I have to step away for just a second, but I'll be right back, guys. Think of some questions. All right, I'm back. So you got a little bit of a bounce from the negative 3K level, and that's enough for you to scalp. Yeah, this gap between the trades delta and the volume delta has got me a little concerned about really trying to short down here. I'm being completely honest because it's just kind of an anomaly compared to what I usually see with it. If there was better alignment between them, meaning that, if my trades delta was more or less doing the same thing, I might be inclined to short this, but this gap between them is telling me that there is some bid side limit order support. Yes, order flow does take time to understand, and the industry wants to sell you footprint charts. Uh, that's really the big thing, because these software companies, they make fancy footprint charts and they demo them and they show you, delta profiles and this, that, and the other, and so that's what you think you have to have. I really look at this as a confluence. In the order book, I can kind of see the momentum, right? And so if, this is kind of a funky day where our price is lifting up out of the open and our order book is kind of diverging down, I would always tell you to trust the order book. But I like to see this, momentum down and then this kind of change in the order flow. So I want to be trying to long these legs up. When our order flow is shifting down like this, you should probably be looking for shorts. Like I said, this is a little unusual though, the gap. So we'll just see how it plays out. I've got a ton of older videos that I've left open on YouTube. There's all kinds of stuff in there. Tons and tons of failures as I was kind of figuring out my trading style. Some of them were videos from when I was with different trading groups over the years. So you're going to see all kinds of wazoo stuff in there. I would say just ignore that stuff. It's really my growth as a trader. Lots of failed accounts in there as well. But I'm going to leave that stuff up for now. I am going to apply for my Apex affiliate code. I do like Apex. I trade them every day, and I'm grateful for all the amazing payouts I've got from them. But they want to see activity and they want to see you trade live, and so that's kind of what this is all about. If you guys can't or don't want to make the commitment to purchase the order flow course that I'm going to release in March, then you guys can use my Apex codes, and I appreciate that very much. All that I'm looking for is just, I guess, equal compensation for my time. It's not really about being a guru or making a name for myself or any of that stuff. I think those of you that have actually had conversations with me know that I'm a humble person, and I'm just, again, very grateful that God still has me here after all that I've been through in my career. And I've been able to make life-changing money with trading, and I'm very grateful for that. but it is a difficult transition. And again, trading has been the most difficult thing that I've ever had to do, aside from, burying my teammates. Uh, it's been tough. How do you like them, Mission? Gonna erase this. So we've got another little divergence forming here. Have you been able to get payouts from them? So about the Discord, my plan initially was to, again, when I was talking with my wife about how I wanted to approach all of this, the idea was that I would have the Discord be open to the public, and then I spent some time, obviously, like most traders, I've spent a lot of time in Discords and started talking with somebody else who has a very popular free Discord. And he was like, dude, it's not worth it. He said, it's just not worth it. He said, I, have people that are constantly, again, just asking me questions all the time. And he's like, I can't answer them. He's like, I can't pay enough people to answer them. So, and my experience with X has been mostly positive. I've not had any really heinous comments or anything like that, but I just can't keep up. Like I can't keep up with the questions that I get on X, and also trying to provide, good value and content to folks and help them understand order flow the way that I do. So right now, I think my plan is to limit the Discord access to folks that have purchased the course. And what that does for me is that, um, again, I get asked kind of the question that Mission asked me. And again, Mission, there's nothing wrong with the question. I asked that same question, you know, 3 or 4 years ago. Hey, how do I get started understanding order flow? And that's a very valid question. But before I go, line by line through how to understand order flow, I think I would rather just, through a Q&A format, so to speak, I think I would rather just put together, a resource that people can, consume at their own discretion in their own homes and on their own time through a trading course. And then that brings everybody up to a equal level, and then give them Discord access, and I can kind of help them refine their strategy. Um, so I'm I'm basically going away from, I think, having a public Discord at this point. That's for my sanity, and also just to, I think it'll just be easier for me to put it all out there in one shot, right? I hope that answers your question. So I'm keeping the Discord private. I do have a few people in there. They're great folks. Some of them I've been talking to for months, months and months and months, and they're in the Discord. And so they are providing me feedback and answering and asking, detailed questions. And it's helping me, I think, put together a better product. So that's kind of where I'm at. Again, my intention is not to be a guru. I really don't like what I see in the trading space. It's honestly, it's quite tragic. Everybody just wants to get you to, they're just showing you a price chart, right? And they're YOLOing their trades in and out of evals and funded accounts. And It's not really helping people understand anything. And they're teaching you kind of, price patterns and things like that, stuff that worked back in the 80s and the 90s. And I don't want to do that, right? Like I want to help you guys really understand order flow and do it in a way that I'm not just pitching you, um, complex footprint charts and delta profiles. That stuff, again, from there, I know people that trade that way and they make good money with it, and there's nothing wrong with that. For me, I needed something that was a little more intuitive. I'm a very visual person, so I had to simplify it, right? I had to create a trading system that would let me sit down on my computer at any point in time during the day. Again, because I have kids and I'm taking care of the four of them, and present me with a method of trading that was simple, and I didn't have to stare at footprint charts all day and my eyes go crossed. And that also I didn't have to, you know, learn a bunch of uh, rebranded ICT SMC concepts. I really wanted to know, like, why is there a fair value gap there? Or what, like what's actually happening in the order book to cause these phenomenon to happen. And so this is it, right? It's not fancy, it's simplistic, but it's very effective. And you guys will see me DCA into some positions where it's like, oh man, like, but it's because I see the order flow changing. And it will evolve, right? I also use tick, the New York Stock Exchange tick and the Nasdaq tick. I don't currently have them up there. Well, it's intentional, right? The complication is intentional on his part. It's similar to what you experience when you start to study order flow, right? The industry is purpose built to complicate things, right? And make you feel like you need more knowledge, and you don't necessarily need more knowledge. I think most traders need more confidence in themselves. If you don't believe that you're a profitable trader, then you never will be. That belief has to come first. So we have an absorption divergence here that's formed in price. So I feel like somebody is about to possibly be offsides here. Hey, Sadika, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I'm working on it, right? Like, I'm not used to having my widescreen monitor taken up with OBS and YouTube and Discord. So this is new for me. I'm going to have to get another monitor and get better at streaming. When you guys see these kinds of divergences where your order flow is going down, but price is being suspended here, like especially right, whoops, right here. Oh, come on. That's absorption at its finest. That's basically your A plus setup right there. Now, does it mean that price is going to go all the way back to, you know, previous day's highs, or, all the way back to VWAP? No, not necessarily. It just means that there's absorption present. I was kind of suspecting that something like this might happen, given that this gap between the trades delta. So I'm going to be very patient. Normally I would start putting on a position right when that happens, but I know that there's quite a few people that are watching, so I want to try to give you guys some more precise trade locations rather than just the intuitive, you know, well, I can see it shifting, so I'm going to start putting some size on, which is normally what I do, but I'm trying to get better at giving you guys pinpoint trade directions or pinpoint trade criteria. And so we're going to be patient. We're going to wait and see. We want to watch order flow really kind of get in alignment with it and look for some pullbacks. But this is how I'm able to really pick the bottom of things. Um, no, it's okay. You can ask. You can ask all that you want. I think, honestly, just continue to watch the stream. And you guys know that I use volume delta, use the trades delta, and I do also use the tick, which I have not really spoken with the tick about anybody or spoken to anybody about the tick. I don't have the tick up right now, so I can't tell you what it's doing because I've got, my screen space is taken up by streaming software right now. But there's really there's really three things that you're looking at. You're watching price, which price is an advertisement. So price is generally going to deceive you because the order book can be changing shape and direction while price is doing one thing. So I try to follow the order book, and I define the order book as exactly what you have issues says there, right? So for me, that's cumulative volume delta, it's cumulative trades delta. So we have price, and then we have the order flow. But then there's also the equity side. So that's where the ticks come in. The New York Stock Exchange tick, the Nasdaq tick. And what that is showing us is kind of the underlying activity or the activity in the underlying stocks that make up the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq and NQ. So why is that important? Well, it's important because the large players in the game are really they're holding their primary positions in SPX and SPY options because that gives them the most leverage. And they're really using the NQ and the ES to hedge against those positions. So we're really on the hedging side of things, right? And so when you start to see buying or selling on the equity side through the tick, then it just gives you a little more conviction, right? When you see the order flow here line up with what's going on the equity side of the house through the tick. So that's why I use it. I've been trying to focus primarily on the order book here and what's happening, so that way you guys can see it, you guys can understand it before introducing the tick chart to you. And there is part of me that's kind of like, how much do I really want to reveal to them? So I've not given away my full chart book to anybody because I built it, and it's like, okay, if you're gonna, if you want to learn how I trade, I'm not just gonna throw it all at you at once because you guys won't understand it. No, I'm not trying to be deceptive or anything. I'm just trying to give it to you in kind of like a logical manner that makes sense. Anyway, so let's see what we've got. Our absorption divergence. We want to see order flow kind of get in alignment with this again. If order flow starts making new highs here, then we can try to work our way into a long position. It's looking like it wants to go back up. Okay, so starting to get a little bit of follow through with our aggressive buyers. We see that in the blue volume delta. Try to find a nice pullback for you guys. That's what I'm looking for right now. Normally I would already be in this, but I'm trying to give you guys clear, I don't know, criteria. I guess that's what you could call it. You could certainly try a micro here now that we're starting to get that momentum upwards. But I want to focus on trying to spot a pullback if we can. Now, I'm not worried about this volume over here at all. Again, I could care less about the volume profile of this or really even the stuff that's on the right side of my chart. I don't really use that. I've got it on there because I know some folks like volume profile, and it is interesting when you get alignment, sure, but I want to focus on what the current order flow is telling me to do. This absorption here is definitely a clear sign to buy. A lot of times when the volume delta will extend upward, you'll get a little pullback to this kind of area. That's not exactly what I wanted to show you guys. But on these pullbacks, right, that's not a bad time to add or initiate a position. But I wanted to get something a little more clear and definitive. I want to see this thing start really breaking through, back up through this 2K level and get a nice pullback from that to go higher. Show you guys something nice and obvious like that for your trades, or for us to get a run back to delta neutral. Let's buy one here just to see what happens. That really just a simple little scalp based on this kind of pullback in delta, right? They're kind of in alignment with each other now. Our trades, not a whole lot of aggression, but you know, if you bought that on a mini, you'd be up 350 bucks. Like, that's not a bad little trade. Something simple, right? Guys, look for these simple little setups that you can scalp. Um, you know, quit trying to be right on the day and predicting what it's going to do. Just learn to take money from it. That's what it's all about. Especially if you guys are building little accounts, or, you know, was there anything super technical or, you know, tinfoil hatty, I guess, about that? No, it broke a new delta level. We're kind of in alignment with each other, and that's it. Whatever happens next, again, you could put a trailing stop or whatever you want to do. Price is continuing to make a new high. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'm gonna exit this because again, I just really want to talk with you guys. Um, I've Yes, I do have the RTH VWAPs on there. I do really like the VWAPs. Um, I just, again, simply don't have them on there because I'm trying to just demonstrate that you really don't need that stuff when you can just kind of, again, look at the order book. It's nice to have that confluence, but I can't tell you how many times I've had some kind of, level VWAP or whatever on my chart, and, I'm waiting for price to re. Hey, girl, thank you.
Can I have some paint drink?
Can you ask mommy?
No.
No?
You can have those.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I love you. 3-year-olds, man, are so cool. Um, but I can't tell you how many times that I've had a level plotted on my chart with stats, right? For a long time, I was in, I'm not going to mention his name, but I was in a trading group with a very good trader, and his entire trading um, system is based on stats, right? Like, the break of the IB high, break of the IB low. And I'm not talking about like, again, I'm not talking about the guys that you see on YouTube that are trying to farm engagement by showing you, um, you know, an or 15-minute orb break. None of that crap, right? None of the influencer crap. I'm talking about somebody who legit was a floor trader who transitioned to trading, on his own and has developed like thousands and thousands of stats. He's the one that taught me how to pull stats from Sierra Chart, which I will probably include in the course. But this guy leans on stats super, super heavy. And so, he has belief in them, and I have belief in them as well. But when I'm looking at these levels, right, these horizontal levels, and price slices right through a stat that's supposed to be an 87% stat, and I'm like, ooh, man, I had a limit order there. Or I tried to get long there. I tried to get short there, and it sucks. But then when I went back, and I would look at the order flow and again, what the volume delta is telling me, what the trades delta is telling me, what the tick is telling me, I would see that there was no reason for me to buy or sell there, other than I had locked it into my brain that this was an area where institutions are going to buy or sell. And when I was like, hey, if this guy who again I admire, he's a great trader, and again he makes those stats work for him, but there's times when you know price just does whatever it wants to do. The market does whatever it wants to do. And I realized I'm like I need to stop trying to predict what it's going to do, and I need to learn to just take trades based on what I'm seeing in the order book. So I simplified everything and kind of got away from all that stuff, right? Nothing wrong with it. And I tell the people that I've been chatting with over the last few months, like, I'm not telling you that the way that I trade is the best way to trade. I'm just telling you that I know what drives the candlesticks, and it's the orders. So if you can learn to interpret the orders either through a footprint chart, right, or the way that I do it, just looking at kind of the volume deltas and the tick, then you're going to have a much easier time getting yourself in alignment. You're going to see changes you're going to see changes. Um, you're going to see highs and lows long before they form. And yeah, so some aggressive buying, nothing super convincing yet. This thing absolutely could still tank from here. Generally, if your order book is negative, you want to be looking for shorts. I'm hesitant because of this separation here. There's a lot of kind of underlying buying that's happening. But maybe we'll get a strong break one way or the other. My best trades, my best trades are not in this environment, right? It's tough to really, it's not tough. It's actually easy. It's easy to make money in this environment. It's just that it's difficult to really nail the direction, right? So what I'm saying is like, which way is it going to break? Is it going to break up or is it going to break down? You don't really know until it starts to show you, give you the evidence. But my best trades always come from when price is falling super hard, right? Because when price is really directional, the order book is just, it's easier for me to read. The divergences stick out a lot better. And if this thing starts to break below this, then we might take another short. Again, we have this absorption divergence, but it doesn't mean that it's going to go back up and take out these highs. And I think that's the thing that I don't like about guys that teach volume delta on YouTube is, again, they're just farming engagement. They don't really understand what's happening. So you end up with, you know, guys bet the farm on going long right here based on this divergence, and then they get stopped out because we're still very much in a downtrend. So let's watch and see what happens. I think one of the cleanest kind of order flow setups that you guys can have is when you kind of have this, bottoming effect, and then it pops through delta neutral, like really convincingly pops through delta neutral, and then you get that pull back to delta neutral. I've had several trades over the last few days. A few of them I've posted on X where I've had that exact setup. And again, it's not rocket science. The order book flips positive, then rallies. I just realized that you guys are chatting in Discord and I'm not seeing it, so let me. Wow, okay. I apologize. There's a ton in here that I missed. We're going to wait until this thing shows us what it wants to do. Price is going higher, but again, there's still pretty heavy limit order selling. Looking droopy. Jason, you set up a 30-minute delta volume. That's pretty sweet. Yeah, that's nice. We got to chat more, brother. So we're kind of retesting this RTH low. Volume delta's kind of back down to it. We still absolutely have a divergence here between price and our order flow. You guys can see that we had this sharp sell-off and price is kind of limping its way back up, not really doing it with size and strength. A little pop in it right here, but still not super convincing that the buyers are really stepping in. You can see how our order book is still sloping down very heavily. Whoops, that did not go in the right chart area, sorry. You know, our order book is still aggressive on the sell side. So I'm not convinced that I need to be buying yet. Potentially take a short, but like I said, I've been a little off because of this. I do see buying in the trades delta, but it's not super aggressive yet. So maybe we'll get a nice push down, and then we'll get some really nice obvious long signals. Again, I'm not looking at the strategic charts. I don't really know. I'm doing that intentionally. I don't really know what is below us here. You're closing your short there, Brent? Nice, man. I think if we get down here to 4K, if we get down here to 4K, I would probably try scalping along, because again, I know that that's kind of outside of that. I'm just going to drop this down here for now so they're not in the way. So we can focus on what these two guys right here are doing. But, you know, if this drops down to 4K or pushes through and goes to 5K and we start, I really like to see alignment between them in this. Like if I'm going, again, just for a scalp, you know, I want to see both of these kind of hitting a K level at the same time. Gotta love this dissection. Oh man, I don't complain about it. I mean, it's always funny to me when there's a few guys that are more experienced traders than me that former floor traders and they don't trade on certain days because there's no news. That's really I think what they're basing it on. They don't There's no red folder events today, so I'm not gonna trade. And it's like, okay. And then you have a day like this where we have like two or three red folder events, and then you get, you know, I would just say less than optimal price action. So, and then on the days when we don't have any news, it trends like crazy. So, you know, I just come to the market every day and try to do the best that I can. Order flow still very much pointed down. Let's see if we can get a nice flush lower here. Run a whole bunch of stops, make a bunch of people angry. I'm gonna look at this strategic chart real quick, see where we're at. So we are, okay, this is really the first time I've looked at this, but we're basically back at VWAP. And we did get some selling from the previous month's VWAP, and we did get some selling from the weekly. So the question is how aggressive are they going to get it? I'm gonna switch the stream over here so you guys can see this. And YouTube, I'm going to switch you guys over too, so we can look at the strategic chart here. I guess I'm going to have to develop some hotkeys for this because So everybody should see the strategic chart now. And yeah, I like to have this stuff up. I'm trying to trade without it. I did that the last few days again just to really focus on the delta, but I would be surprised if they run it all the way back down to here. This is a 15-minute chart, but I like to usually have like a 30-minute or a 60-minute chart. This is going to reload and recalculate, and we're going to look left a little bit to see what we're bouncing on here. This chart book, this is like my strategic chart that I've got up. Just takes a while to load because it's loading a full year. And that's because I want to be able to see the quarterly VWAPs and have them be accurate. So it takes it a minute to load. For those of you guys that are using CR chart, I also have this chart set to a date rollover. Again, so that way I know exactly when those quarters start and stop. It's not a volume-based rollover like I would usually have. So let's see. Um, there is a naked previous VWAP right here. I find that the ones that are kind of naked and haven't been passed through yet are much better levels. There was a weekly, previous weeks, but you can see that the monthly here is really where we got our kind of our best bounce up and out of that. And we bumped our head on that today, and now it's kind of, struggling to get through that, which is exactly what you would expect. Again, these are 30-minute candles. So they may run it back down. I would be surprised if they sweep this low again today, but they might. Again, I don't try to predict it. There's probably a lot of accumulation that's happening in this area because we are below the previous month's VWAP. And a lot of selling too. So it's a battle. These kinds of areas can be messy because they're just not super clear and defined. Yeah, I don't want to get into speculation. So, but it's just nice to see where we're at right now. The path of least resistance is definitely down. We've got all these VWAPs that are overhead, right? So as price comes back up into there, you've got a ton of institutions that are selling it. But at the same time, there's also a ton of institutions that, for whatever reason, they've got a different bias, right? They're looking at fundamentals differently, and they're accumulating, right? They're accumulating, and they're targeting these VWAPs, these highs back up here. So all we can try to do is just, again, get ourselves in alignment with the order flow and not speculate on what's going to happen. I will tell you that, my best trades are these kinds of big drops, big rallies. That's what I like to target, because when I see those, the order flow really becomes clear to me. Right now, we're kind of, in the middle of all of it, letting it sort itself out. So that's what the strategic looks like. And let's go back to RTH tactical here. Switch YouTube back over. Okay. Hey, that wasn't so bad. And let's see what we've got. Okay, so our volume delta's about to tap into this 4K here. Like I said, I might just buy some here if this happens, or if it kind of gets some footing there. Let's watch it. All right, I'm just going to put 1 micro on. And that's simply based on that we're down here at this 4K. Again, I'm not worried so much about what price is doing. I want to be buying and selling in areas. When I say areas, I mean areas on the delta grid, which is just what I call the CVD and trades delta. I want to be buying in areas where those algorithms are buying. I'm not worried so much about what price is doing. If it if it drops from here and sweeps and does whatever, it's fine. We did not get our really nice, clear, crisp pullback the way that we wanted to, so that's okay. Let's focus in on what the order book is telling us and see if we can build into some positions here. If it plunges through this, it's fine, right? If it really breaks through this, it's okay. I would probably either get out or DCA at this 5K or 6K level. As far as the risk goes, we can talk about that. Again, I mentioned earlier that I really like to use daily loss limits if I'm trading my Apex accounts. I have those set for a daily loss limit, and that's based on whatever the account balance is. And I just set that in our trader, right? Like I have some 50K accounts that have got like 52K profit in them. I know that I don't want to lose more than $1,000 per day on those accounts. My personal account has different risk tolerance. And so you guys will, you got to figure out your own risk plan, one that resonates with you. I've done it a bunch of different ways. I am not somebody who leans on news events to try and, pass evals. I would discourage you guys from that kind of behavior. It just leads to bad trading habits. And the more that you try to rush this process of profitability, the longer it's going to take you. That's just the truth of it. So if you can kind of settle into, a trading strategy or system or whatever you want to call it, that works for you, that resonates with you, that you believe in, and you believe in yourself to be a profitable trader, just take your time with it. Like, do not rush it. So there are some very popular gurus out there, again, who are telling you guys to, buy 20 accounts, and before FOMC, you long 10 of them and short 10 of them. That's stupid, right? Don't do that kind of stuff. If you've got, a ton of money to throw at learning to trade, sure, maybe you can do something like that. But it's, I just think it's counterproductive. But so risk in general, right? If I'm trading prop firm accounts and even my own personal account, I just trade micros. You can make thousands of dollars per day trading micros. And it takes so much stress off of you. It's chill, right? We're here, we're having a conversation. I put on 1 micro. Why did I put on 1 micro? Because I'm down here at the 4K level, and I know that this is kind of the outer edge of the distribution as far as, delta extremes go. Like I've looked at I usually keep the last year of chart stats, and I know that, 75% of days we don't go past this point, right? Again, regardless of what price is doing, I know that historically buyers kick in. Those buying algorithms kick in when it gets to negative 4,000 delta. So does it work every time? No. But the other thing that you can do is you can do like a, a version of, ugh, sorry, I lost my train of thought. You'll have to excuse me. I'm a vet with TBI, so if I lose it, then it takes me a minute to get it back. Um, Help me out here, guys. What's the I want to say Monte Carlo, but is it Monte Carlo where they'll buy, let's say, 1 micro. If they take a stop, then they'll buy 2 micros. If they take a stop, they'll buy 3 micros. Is that Monte Carlo? Why am I having drawn a blank on this? I know somebody out there in chat knows it. Martingale. Yes. Thank you, Jason. Martingale system. You guys can absolutely use, yes, that's it. Thank you. You can absolutely use this delta grid and martingale your way, right? Now, if we know that most of our days fall in this like 3K, let's just say 3K to 5K. Right, absolutely. I think it does, especially if you're basing it on price. If you're martingaling based on price alone, yeah, man, I think you're really looking to possibly get super chopped up. But um, I haven't done this extensively, but I have done it where martingale based on the delta grid, right? What you guys will find is that price will travel a long way. Thank you, Connor. I appreciate that. Price will travel a long, long way before the delta travels that same distance. So again, like this was just, hey, we got back down here to 4K. I literally just put on 1 micro based on that, right? And we're in profit. If it flushes out of here, again, I'm not concerned about what price is doing, but if it flushes out of here, you take a stop, and then buy 2 micros down here. Like it's chill, right? We're not stressing out because I'm basing it again on the distribution. If you guys buy the course when it comes out, I will give you the distribution stats, and they're great. They give me a lot of confidence, and especially when again we're plunging down on those super hard sell-off days, and you see order flow diverging, and you know that you're at negative 7K on the day, and it starts to diverge. It's like, oh, okay, hey, know that I can kind of again lean on the stat a little bit. I'm not leaning on a stat based on some arbitrary uh hand drawn level on my chart. I'm basing it on you know order flow data, right? When do these algorithms kick in? So if this thing sells from here, it's fine. Not freaking out about it. If it starts to break through this K level, then we'll get out. Maybe with martingale today, we could try that. I'm gonna erase these off the chart, or I guess hide them. I don't want to confuse anybody. Okay, so now we're actually just about hitting this 4K. Let me put something on here so we can see the delta better. I think it's down here in the study section. Gracious, so many studies. Spreadsheet study. Okay, there we go. I guess I could do something like this. Yikes, that looks horrible. That's what I should do. Merry Christmas Chartbook colors. We're just going to go back to this. I want to be able to, I want you guys to be able to see what the actual delta reading is. Dang. Now what are you doing? There we go. All right, let's move this over. Don't want it right there. All right. So now we can see our actual delta without having to squint our eyes down at this little yellow bar over here. All right, so let's just watch this and see what happens. Guess I can throw a label on this too while we're waiting for this thing to kind of resolve itself. Oh, is it not going to let me do a label? Label. I'll mess with this later. Anyway, you guys know it's cumulative volume delta there. And maybe I'll do another one for trades delta. All right, so let's just observe the characteristics between these two here. I like it that price is holding. Like price is definitely a lot of, again, limit order buying through all of this. We get a nice rally. Again, I have no idea what it's going to do. But if we get a nice rally up, then I would absolutely look to add heavily right here. I thought we might get that over here earlier when we had this divergence, this absorption divergence, but just didn't really stick. I think we took one little long right there on that rebound and made like 70 bucks on a micro, but then it just kind of lost its footing. That's when Brent shorted, and it's a great short. Yeah, this is an interesting environment for me because I'm not used to seeing our trades delta be up so high, but just kind of confirms why, price is really struggling to. This is something that you guys, you know, should be looking at is when your order book's telling you one thing, but price is struggling. That there's just a lot of limit order buying. I need to spend some more time on OBS and really learn how to save these settings. You guys, please let me know on YouTube if the stream is not looking good or sounding good. I'll figure it out. Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. We had rollover. Thanks, Jason. Hey, KTS. Cool, man. Appreciate it. I wish I could say the same for mine. I'm not a professional YouTube influencer guru guy. I'm literally doing this from my office. My wife is homeschooling our kids, and like we're doing life on this end. So I don't have a team of people. I'm not in Mexico jumping rally trucks like some other trading influencers out there. Although I have raced rally, not raced, but one of the cool things that we did in the Army was, when you work in the special ops community, you get to go do all kinds of civilian training courses and things like that. And we got to do a few different rally truck driving courses because we were going to the desert. So we had to learn how to drive, aggressively and safely. So, yes, we homeschool. I'm a public school kid myself, but my wife was a teacher before, and even before COVID, we decided that we were going to homeschool. Nice. Well, apparently YouTube has got like some kind of little mini RPG going in chat. Like you can get you earn experience points the more that you post. So I've got a little thing up here that says top fans. So KTS, now that you figured out how to chat, you got to say more to move up the ranks. Right now, mission to be a trader is number 1, with Amps number 2 and Connor number 3. So we've got more absorption going on here, guys. Our price is higher. Our order book is, or at least the aggressors, right? Trying to sell it off. Do you guys see how ridiculously easy that was to buy this negative 4K level? If it was, again, like a full-size contract, and I'm not saying, okay, I'm saying something, but I'm not really saying something. I'm not saying go out there and buy an Apex eval and just buy or sell the K levels. But if you did, you know, you'd be up like $600-700 right now. But don't do that, right? Trade smart, trade with micros, figure out these interactions. I had, yeah, never mind. Disregard. Disregard what I was about to say. Okay, so we're getting some aggressive buying. I think my headset is about to die. If it dies, I'm gonna have to hop off here, or at least switch to my AirPods. Um. Well, so like right now, we bought one micro. Basically, just I was just trying to demonstrate how I would scalp these. Again, I'm not looking at what price is doing so much as just where the order book is at, and in my mind thinking, hey, you know, these algorithms are resetting at the open, so they've sold it off hard, aggressively, negative 4,000 contracts. Didn't, I mean, ask yourself, did it really have an effect on price though? Like, were the sellers really effective in selling it off? No, they weren't. So that's a clue. So if I bought, you know, if I bought this 4K level with one micro, and again, I hope that you can see this. I would want to see this thing. I'd want to see price, or I'm sorry, not price. I'd want to see delta extend up and break through this negative 3K level. Maybe it bounces at 2K, comes back, retest this kind of swing point, or retest this 2K. And then what you'll see, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and again, I'm drawing with a mouse over here with, you know, with straight lines. But what I like to see is I like to see, you know, this aggressive kind of delta pop, and then a pullback, and then you'll see delta kind of flatten out. This is horrific. Just imagine. Use your use your imagination. You're going to see your delta kind of flatten out while price is still dropping, and that's that accumulation. So I guess when it breaks, you know, back above this, you know, when it breaks kind of back above this point, you could add in, right? Maybe you add in 2 or 3, and then what usually happens is that let me erase this stuff. Is that price, again, this is a 30-second chart, but price will kind of put in a higher low here. And then what I'll do is I will, so this right here this is our actual entry. But then once you start to add in, then this becomes what I call it a theoretical average. Basically, the you know, as you buy positions, your average price moves up, so I just call it your theoretical average. So your theoretical average, instead of it being right here where it actually is right now at our actual entry, it starts to shift up, and I will add in up until I'm just below that swing point. And then that's kind of how I, you know, look at it as far as adding in. And when it comes to exits, I try to hold my trades as long as I can. The primary thing that causes me to exit trades if I'm being completely honest with you, is my kids. Um, because they need me for something. So, but if you have the liberty to sit here all day and let's say again, you know, let's say you buy down here with the micro and then you're in one micro and you get something like this. You get kind of an extension up and a pullback, and then maybe you add into that. I'm definitely going to, like maybe add and then so you add, right? Maybe you're at half of a full size contract here, and then you start to get, real momentum going back up. You could take profits at this, whoops, wrong chart drawing. You could take profits at this negative 1K level. I would definitely take profits back at RTH. I just call it RTH delta neutral. It's not session neutral. Again, I don't really know where session neutral's at right now. It doesn't. I'm really focused on RTH neutral. You could, exit your trade there. A lot of times you'll find that this will kind of line up with maybe VWAP. Again, as the day goes on, delta neutral and VWAP kind of get more and more in alignment with each other. But that's kind of where I would, if you add it in here, if your initial position was down here and you add it in here, you would want to take profits as this thing kind of bumps its head. Just watch it, right? Just because it's hitting a K level doesn't mean that you need to exit the trade. Just watch price's interaction with it. If the candles are continuing to push up, then let it ride. Don't be afraid of a little bit of, a little bit of price action, right? Especially if you're, but now having said that, it's hard to do this kind of thing on a 1 minute chart or a 5 minute chart. That's why I'm looking at usually sub 1 minute. I'm looking at a 30-second chart, 5-second chart, or looking at a lower volume tick chart. Like the low volume tick charts are great. I think that answered those two questions from Giant Wave. Glad you're here, man. There's plenty of price action throughout the day, guys. Even on crappy, okay, I take that back. It's not a crappy day. It's just a day. It's just a trading day. Of course. Um, there's plenty of opportunities for you to scalp in and out of positions. So, price is wanting to really rally, even though the deltas haven't really caught on, right? So, it tells me that people are still really trying to sell it, but it's wanting to carry on. And we've got a nice absorption divergence. Right, whoops, right here. We had one here earlier that was smaller, but you guys can, okay, so originally we had this little, I just call this like a micro divergence between price and the deltas. But now that has turned into this monstrosity, which I kind of classify this as a, I don't know, a medium divergence. Like if this is like a micro, this is just, I guess, like a normal divergence. And what's neat, and I don't have the screen space for it, but I will talk about this in the course, is that you can also, what I love about Sierra chart is that you will have a long-term historical delta chart that's like rolling, right, for the last year, and you will absolutely see key areas where buying and selling takes place. I don't have that up right now, but it's something that I will look at from time to time. And you will see multi-day divergences. So I'm thinking back like COVID, for example, multi-day divergences in the delta where there was aggressive selling, but yet what was really happening is that there was underlying limit order absorption for weeks, right? When they pulled the wool over our eyes. I'm not going to get into conspiracy theories, but yeah, we got rug pulled. And so there was a massive transfer of wealth from 401ks and IRA accounts. People were panic selling. Travis, that means the world to me, man. I'm always questioning, right? Like I think confidence is something that everybody struggles with from time to time, and so I don't ever want to be on here just rambling and it not make sense. So I have a good workout. I need to do the same thing myself. I missed my mobility workout this morning, so I need to get in there and get after it. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I really do. So isn't it fascinating that price continues to rise even though these guys are selling it, man? So why? Like what is happening? Um, this to me is where, and unfortunately, we as retail traders, we do not have access to the limit order book. And it's really what they call level 3 data. And the institutions, right, they have the limit order book and they can see exactly where these are going into. Yeah, it is. It, again, there's people that are really selling it. And generally, I like to go with the order book and what it's telling me, except for when price is doing the opposite of it. Yes. For those of you guys that have access to Sierra chart, Denali, I would absolutely encourage you to do that. But when you're trading like, a retail prop account or you sign up for, a $500 ANT futures account, you're not getting the limit order book. So what was our entry here? It was the Delta hitting 4K. That's it. That's why we bought it. I look at this as, again, we know that there's absorption, right? So we have, and you can actually measure it. I'm not going to get into it right now, but you can actually find out, at least from I think that we're receiving probably 95% of the volume that's actually in the market being reported to our software. But you can measure exactly how many contracts, not exactly, again, I use that term loosely, but how many contracts have been absorbed by looking at your volume delta. And so we have all of this kind of underlying, you could call it ice, iceberg limit order buying that's taking place in the face of this aggressive selling. So every little blip of positive delta that does come in, because there is some, then it just continues price higher. When they really, again, I talked about this yesterday and last week, when institutions really want to accumulate positions, they're using limit orders and they're masking their intentions. They're always trying to hide their intentions, because as soon as they start using market orders, and they absolutely do use market orders, but as soon as they really start laying on the market orders, then price really goes, right, from an auction market theory standpoint, right, it becomes imbalanced and it really runs. They don't like that because they're not able to accumulate as much as they want. So they need aggressive selling in order to use limit orders to buy. If you understand the order types, right? If you're wanting to buy with a limit order because it's cheaper for you and you can mask and absorb the other market participants' aggression, like you have to use a limit order, and you have to have aggressive selling pressure. You have to have aggressive market order. Yeah. Jason, you're the man. You've got the nicest chart books I've ever seen. I need your level of commitment to my chart books. All right. It's 12. I've been on here for 2.5 hours. My headset's about to die. And I've got to get a mobility workout in here and do something for my physical well-being today, because we stayed up last night. My kids are just getting old enough to start watching Marvel movies. We've kind of kept them away from that stuff because they're just been, I think, too young for it. Pretty violent, really, a lot of the stuff. And so, anyway, of course, they love Tom Holland as Spider-Man. So we watched Spider-Man last night. Stayed up kind of late. And it's kind of the Christmas season, right? So I'm like kind of letting them have a little bit of rope, letting my son play Minecraft. All these things that during the year, right, we're not normally doing. So we stayed up late. I slept in this morning, and then I woke up and my dog had puked in 4 or 5 different spots in the house. So I had to clean that up because I didn't want anybody else to step in it. Just life, right? Like life was happening over here at the Spec Ops home. And so I didn't get my mobility stuff in. So I need to do that. But I appreciate all of you guys on YouTube for listening to me ramble this morning about the market. I'm going to go ahead and close this trade. So altogether, I'm up about $700 today. Not a big day. It's okay. It wasn't my intention to make it be a big day. I really wanted to just again demonstrate how I look at order flow in a very simplistic way. Doesn't have to be super complex, guys. Doesn't have to be. Don't get fooled by the industry, right? Don't get fooled by the industry telling you that you've got to have footprint charts and all these fancy things, because again, they are really trying to sell you stuff. That's what I love about CR chart. They don't sell anything, right? Again, I'm always baffled when I see the folks at NinjaTrader have ICT traders on there trading. That happened again this morning, so whatever. I like it that CR chart is just like, hey, here's a professional trading software, and we're not going to market it heavily. We're not going to have a bunch of influencers trading it. It is what it is. It's the best that's out there. It's available to us, and you know, it's nothing flaky about it. I don't like flaky stuff, and I'm sure that you guys don't either. So don't get sold into believing that that you've got to have this crazy fancy stuff to be effective as a trader. You just need to learn to understand momentum and order types and start to begin to understand when order types are doing certain things. And I'm learning every day too. But I appreciate you guys. I am trying to, again, get my Apex affiliate code. I'm probably pretty close to where they would approve it. I'll continue to stream for you guys. If you guys use the code, that's great, right? Helps me out, helps my kids out, right? Help pay for their college, if I'm being perfectly honest with it. Yes, I do agree with that. I agree with what you have issues said right there, for sure. I agree with that. But to dovetail into that a little bit, there's also some times that, you know, that CVD can get long in the tooth, right? So at some point there is a handshake, right, that happens between the buyers and the sellers, and the buyers take over. So am I always looking to counter trend trade? No. I really try to, like yesterday, we took a nice short from the open. Again, not a lot of size because I'm working with people that have different accounts. But I'm absolutely trying to join the trend first and foremost, because what you said is true, is that you want to be going with that momentum. But there's some days like today, and I think that you would agree, that the aggressors just didn't really have follow through. So anyway, all right, you guys have a great day, and I will be back on tomorrow. Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys. See you tomorrow.